The time period is 8th of March to the 10th of March 2024. A new Yu-Gi-Oh banner has dropped for Modern at the start of the new year. Pure Snake Eye is just very painful to play against, and if you want to play the deck itself, it almost will cost you an arm and a leg. My friend Jason Huang is the YCS champion for 2024. I just turned 31 myself, and I somehow accidentally became the Ultimate Time Wizard champion at YCS Sydney. So let me tell you the story. Leading to YCS Sydney, I mostly been practicing for modern format using Viking Snake Eye. Now, some of you might say the pure Snake Eye version is the superior version of the Snake Eye deck, having access to Barone, Savage Dragon, which is your 2 army negate to secure the game most of the time. While that is true, I just have a bit more confident with the Snake Eye Viking version as I've been practicing that version since January. I believe I had a successful run at the main event, making it to day 2 going as X2. As long as I win my final round of Swiss, I have a good chance of making top 32 as my 2 losses were both X1. As I sat down for my final opponent in the final round of Swiss, my opponent is Fox. No, not the animal Fox, it's Fox Jetley, a much respected player. I can tell you this isn't going to be an easy matchup. Now, if that name sounds a bit familiar, then I am not surprised as he is the Oceanic representative for Worlds 2024. But let's get back to the match itself. The final round of Swiss is about to begin. We both roll a die, and I won a die roll, giving me a slight advantage. We both opened our 5-card hand, and I went standby, main phase, pass. I completely bricked, drawn into an unplayable hand, and I lost game 1. Game 2, I won as I drawn a better hand, able to play through some hand trap, giving me the confidence boost I need. Going to game 3, the final game for this round, and I lost due to a misplay with my hand trap sequence, putting me as X3 for day 2. From there, my YCS journey is over. Or is it? Even though I didn't top this YCS, it is what it is. Like, it's part of the game itself. Sometimes you draw godly, sometimes you brick, sometimes your opponent brick, or even sometimes your opponent draw godly as well. It's part of the game. Enough with the modern game. Our side event is about to begin, and I signed myself up in the Ultimate Time Wizard event under Edison format. So for this event, I brought in hero frogs. Frogs being quite retro and so forth, but also with the modern concept of adding heroes together, which wasn't a thing during the original Edison format. Now this list is the exact same list as Fraser Smith's build, just without the future fusion technology, as this deck build was quite old and I hadn't got any chance to update it at that point in time. The only difference between Fraser's list and my list is that the sideboard approach is quite different, and that's pretty much it. Now, even though I play a lot of retro format with my friends, my expectation for my performance in this Ultimate Time Wizard is pretty low, as I haven't been keeping up with any new development for Edison format, as I've been focusing on modern for YCS Sydney. There is about 128 players registered for the Ultimate Time Wizard event. There will be 7 rounds of Swiss and top cut playoff. My first round is about to begin, and my opponent is playing Light Sworn. Now unfortunately, my opponent didn't mill too good at all in both game 1 and game 3, giving me the round 1 victory. Now with round 1 out of the way, I advanced to round 2. My opponent was on Diva Hero. In both game 1 and 2, I drew really well, able to finish the game off quickly before my opponent is able to get to his late game strategy. Moving on to round 3. My opponent for this round is playing Vayu Turbo. It's one of the big 3 decks in Edison. Fortunate for me, I won the die roll and was able to go first and make a defensive play to stop my opponent from doing an aggressive push with the dupe block. From there, I slowly overwhelmed the opponent with late game power plays, giving me the round 3 victory. Now to round 4. This time I'm up against Christius one. My opponent had a very good early game start, able to drop those early game Archdog Christian onto the field, locking me out of the game using Tree-born Frogs or in my Frog Engine and also my Miracle Fusion play. However, in games 2 and 3, I was able to draw into my single copy of Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, using an aggressive push with this card, banishing cards from the graveyard, securing the game and giving me the round 4 victory. Before going to round 5, I am currently undefeated. As I approached my friends, I jokingly told them, "Watch out bozos, I'm about to go undefeated in Swiss and be crowned as the champion in the Top Card playoff." Now, all my friends believe I have a good chance of winning the entire thing. However, as I mentioned in the video, I have very low expectation and I was like, there's no way I will manage that. Moving into round 5. I'm up against another Vayu Turbo. I lost game 1, but won game 2. Now it all comes down to game 3, the final game for this round. The game somehow turned into a very grindy game. My opponent exhausts a lot of his resources while I've been holding back my resources, as I haven't seen Mirror Force or Torrential Tribute as of yet, but a lot of his 1-for-1 removal has been used. Unfortunately for my opponent, couldn't top deck anything useful to save him, giving me the round 5 victory. There's 2 more rounds left to go. All I need to do now is win 1 more round and I'm locked in for top 8. As soon as I won my 5th round, the champion for YCS Sydney for the main event has been determined. My friend, the GOAT, Jason Huan, won YCS Sydney 2024. Sadly, I couldn't go there to congratulate him as round 6 is about to approach. Moving on to round 6. My round 6 opponent is playing Pure Fairies. My opponent wasn't able to get enough fairies into the graveyard in both game 1 and game 2 to drop Christie on me, so I took advantage of this. With the access to my special summon available still, I went very aggressive, pushing enough damage and giving me the round 6 victory. Now that I locked myself in for top 8, there's no more pressure for me until the top 8 playoff. There's still 1 more round of Swiss left to go, and my final round is against Vayu Turbo. In both game 1 and game 3, he wasn't able to get his engine going with the terrible mills from Raikou and not drawing to like Armageddonite and Dark Grepher without access to his engine, and me taking advantage of that by going for an aggressive push, giving me the final round of victory. So I somehow went undefeated in Swiss for the Ultimate Time Wizard event with very low expectation, as I mentioned before. Now the top 8 playoff is about to approach and I was like, surely I'll get knocked out this time. There is no way I can go undefeated in Swiss and win, right? Now moving on to top 8. My opponent is playing Hero Frogs, my first mirror match. We both took 1 game each and there was only 3 minutes left on the clock for game 3. At this point in time, I wasn't aware the time rule is modern time rule for the Ultimate Time Wizard event. So I set my Tree-born Frog and set my Rekiki Break and passed. My opponent normal summoned his Swap Frog, sending his Tree-born Frog to the graveyard, attacked my Tree-born, setting 1 back row and passed, leaving Swap Frog on the field. During the end phase, I used my Rekiki Break, hitting his 1 back row and it was trapped Dust Shoot. As soon as I entered my draw phase, time was called. Remember, I wasn't aware the time rule was modern time rule, and I was like to my opponent, okay, I'm turn 0. However, the judge informed me it is modern time rule. We both have 8k life point and no changes to it as of yet, and we cannot have a draw in top cut. To determine the winner, first life change wins. I looked at my hand, I looked at my graveyard. In standby, I special summon Tree-born Frog. Going to the main phase, I tribute summon 4 Caius, targeting himself. From there, I won top 8. Now I advance to top 4. I am up against Gladiator Base. I was like, surely this time I will get knocked out as Gladiator Base has a strong matchup against my Frog Engine. Fortunate for me, I had multiple battle failures in both game 1 and 2, not allowing any attacks to connect for this GP strategy to work. From there, I slowly beat my opponent down with Caius and Stratos as those monsters was too much for my opponent to handle. So here I am now, going to the finals in the Ultimate Time Wizard event. And I was still thinking to myself, surely I lose this time, right? Surely my luck runs out right now, right? The final round is about to begin, and I'm up against Amaryllis. I took game 1 without an issue, and my opponent took game 2 with aggressive push. Now going to game 3, the final game of this series. I normal summon Swap Frog, sending Treeborn from the deck to the graveyard, and then afterward I bounce back the Swap Frog back to my hand and pass. Over to my opponent. Unfortunately, my opponent didn't have a strong opening hand, so he did a humble T-set and pass. So back to my turn, I revived Treeborn Frog in the standby phase, and immediately in the main phase I tributed away for Caius, banishing his face down monster, which was a Raikou. I went for the battle phase and attacked directly for 24 damage. Back to my opponent's turn, he needs to top deck something strong to get over the Caius. Unfortunately he didn't, so he set another monster and passed. So back to my turn, in the standby phase I revived the Treeborn Frog. In the main phase I have a couple of options, either I go for the greedy play or I don't. So I went for the safe play using Heavy Storm onto his one single back row, and it was Hidden Armory, which was a bluff card. From there I made a read. If he set the normal spell, meaning he doesn't have a Gauze in hand, so I went for the aggressive push. Tributing my Treeborn for another Caius, banishing Space Down monster, which was Card Trooper. From there I discarded a water monster to special summon the Swap Frog and went to the battle phase and swing in for 58 damage for game. From there, I somehow accidentally won YCS Sydney Ultimate Time Wizard event. All of the stars aligned, with me not making top cut in the main event, which allowed me to go undefeated in Swiss and won all my top cut playoff and crowned me as the Ultimate Time Wizard champion for 2024 for YCS Sydney. And that will conclude my story on how I accidentally became the Ultimate Time Wizard champion and I received my giant card Black Rose Dragon as my trophy. Thank you for listening to my story. Hope to see you soon.